The following episode may contain sensitive content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi guys.
Hello, world.
How are we feeling today?
It's Friday. I have a glass of vino. I'm doing good.
Me too.
Que rico.
Tracy, what do you have?
Water.
A glass of water. Hey,
Hey, you know
that's
what?
a responsible girl right
Hydration.
there.
I'm here for
Yeah.
Hydration
I'm probably gonna have a
station.
beer later,
it.
so
Fuck yeah, let's go for it. I support
Ooh,
that.
what kind?
that Schulvenhofe grapefruit beer, the one that they have in Epcot,
Fuck, yes.
Ooh,
love that.
That's a good one.
Que rico.
my
I
favorite.
really, really like that. Okay, should we introduce ourselves and stuff?
Yes, I am
guess so.
Giovanni.
And I'm Tracey.
And I am Nikki.
Beautiful.
And this is the podcast with no name.
Not yet. No name yet.
Right. Yeah, for now, we don't have a name, but we're gonna get one.
We will.
We'll figure
we
it
will.
out.
Okay.
Just hang in there.
We're running
Believe in us.
around with some ideas.
Right.
Rolling them around in our heads.
True.
We promise to come up with something good.
Gotta please the people.
Tracy, do you want to tell them what we're talking about today?
Oh, it would be my honor. So
I
today,
can't wait.
today we are talking about the docuseries, The Curious Case of Natalia Grace.
Yes.
Wow.
Fuck me up.
That one is spicy.
I'm ready to comment.
There's
Let's
so
go.
many twists and turns.
Oh, it was a lot of he said, she said, so we got some things to talk about.
We do.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
And I just can't hide it.
You're
And
so
I should
funny.
stop saying
Ha.
Well, I think Tracy should give a little synopsis of what this case is about, or something really short.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just do
What's it about?
Yeah, quick little rundown. So
Yeah.
basically we have Natalia Grace. She was originally born in the Ukraine. She gets flown to the United States. Eventually she gets adopted by a family, the Barnetts, in Indiana. And it becomes this case of, like I said, he said, she said, there's some things that go on. Are you really who you say you are? Are you really the age that you say that you are? And it just goes from there. It's crazy.
It's just a lot.
But
I love it's hard because it's hard to explain without giving anything away.
right.
It's a really, really intense and raw documentary.
Mm-hmm.
It had me in my toes the whole time. And I gotta stop saying I have a hard time. I'm sorry, Joe.
Right. Stop saying.
No, but exactly. But I was thinking the whole time I was watching it, I thought they had based the movie The Orphan on this case. And watching it, I realized that it's actually the opposite. In some people's point of view, from, some of the victims' point of view, they think it was all the actions were based on that movie.
It's the opposite.
And I thought it was the opposite way, So, yeah. You want to go from the top?
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Let's go from
Right.
it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the adopting process from family to family, the Is it the Chicones, the Cicones? How do you pronounce that?
Chicones, I believe, is how it's pronounced.
Chicones?
Chicones?
Oh, God.
I mean, she was... Okay, let's go from the top. She was born in Ukraine.
Originally, they say
Jesus.
September 4th of 2003 is what her Ukrainian birth certificate states.
And when she was born, or before she was born, they told her, it's okay, Trace. You can say, we're normal people.
Are we? We're just new at this, so we'll learn.
Yes, we are. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna stop doing that. When she was born, or right before she was born, the mom already knew the baby was gonna have some challenges. Natalia was gonna have some challenges, and this is why right away she decided that she wanted to give up her baby for adoption. And this is the moment when she goes to an orphanage, correct?
Correct.
Well, let's just add in there that the doctor was the one that told her or advised her, you should give up your baby for adoption. She has no, like...
Because the surgeries.
Right. She's like, he basically told her there's no use in keeping this child, put her up for adoption. So the mom was
and they said like it was going to cost her a lot too,
Yeah.
because she needed a lot of surgeries.
Because
Right,
later
and
on...
they never specifically state the financial situation that the mother was in, or whether even the biological father was in the picture at the point. I don't even think they say anything about that.
I didn't even think of that.
Right. So, and I believe she had already had one child before Natalia. So I imagine that it is a hard decision, when you have a child, and then on top of it, having one that's going to have a disability, that is a lot to handle. And she was 24 at the time, the mother, so maybe...
Yeah, she was really young.
Right, so maybe she figured that she wouldn't have been able to handle it. I mean, who knows what her thought process was at the time. But I guess when you do have a doctor, a medical professional, someone that you would trust, telling you, I think it's best if you give her up to allow her to have a life that
you trust them,
can be fulfilling and happy. Exactly, you trust them, and so she went with that doctor's opinion.
So she's put into an orphanage. Then this is where the Cicones come into play, right? The Cicones want to adopt the child. They fly to Ukraine. They're introduced to Natalia, and then bring her back with them to the States. And then something happens.
5 at the time, right?
She's 5 at the time. She's 5 years old at the time.
Yeah, she was really young.
Something happens, and we don't know what. We never find out, which is the big question.
The specifics,
The specifics of what happened. But the Cicones want to give them back to the adoption agency, which somehow they're able to do it, and then that's when the Barnetts come.
What I understood, because they really didn't give specific, but I understood that somehow they were playing something. She heard her sibling, I think it was a brother. I'm not sure if it was her brother, her little brother, or something like that. She heard them, and she said, basically, Natalia said, basically, the dynamic completely changed after that. And then she thought that, they didn't love her anymore after that. And she apologized. She said, because it was an accident, and she kept saying, I'm sorry. And they still, started treating her completely different. And then they decide to basically give her up.
That is very true.
And again, this is Natalia's explanation, because they have not interviewed the Chicones at this point. In the 2 seasons that they've done, we have not heard their side of the story. So, like I said, this thing is like a lot of he said, she said. But Natalia said, yes, Nick, you are correct, that they were like play wrestling, and that she landed on his arm wrong, and she may have broken it. And listen, like, you're a kid, and that's what you do. You wrestle around, you roughhouse, you play, and yeah, like, you just land the wrong way and hurt yourself. Like, it happens. And then I think too that they had said something to her, and Natalia whispered, like, I hate you, which is such a kid response, you know, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
And yeah, like you mentioned, that they just totally flipped 180, and it was like, we don't want you anymore, which...
And it was something like, it was more
that?
the dad, or it was more the mom, that the other parent was still treating her fine, but one of them was like, no, and it was like, I don't want you in my life, basically.
I don't know.
And that's when they decided to, you know, give her up to the adoption agency.
Which blows my mind, because I feel like she was just being a typical kid. And it's like, as siblings, you're gonna play fight. And you're gonna make that change your mind and just say, oh, well, we don't want you anymore. We're gonna give you up for adoption. Also, I feel like that process should be a lot more difficult than it was. Like, is that really a thing that people can say, I want to adopt this kid, they're my child? Actually, I changed my mind. I don't really want them because they have a few behavioral issues. Okay, bye.
Right. Is that, like, even legal?
Yeah.
Is that even a thing? Can you give a child back?
Yeah.
Can someone please tell us? I would love to know.
Please subscribe.
Email
comment.
us.
Yeah.
We don't have an email yet.
At
but
our
we'll get it to
non-existent
you soon.
email yet.
Eventually, when we set
Hopefully
one
we'll
up.
have one by the time, we put this episode
So
up.
eventually that's what happens. You know, the Saconis get them back to the adoption agency. They end up finding another family. That new family is now the Barnetts, where they, you know, now she's living with them, with this new family called the Barnetts. And
But even before that, she had been bounced around a few other families, because the Chicones were speaking to the Little People of America, which is an organization. Obviously, it's for little people, and they have like conventions and conferences where they can meet other people who have forms of dwarfism, and they connect. And yeah, the Chicones were reaching out to other families and saying, hey, are you interested in adopting a child? She has a very specific type of dwarfism.
And a lot of, like, there are a few families that really wanted to adopt her.
Yes.
You know what I don't like at all is that we don't know why the Barnetts got an upper hand through this adoption process, because there were other families with the same, you know, what do you say that, capabilities?
disability.
Or, you know, well, yeah, disability, but the same
condition.
You know, they're parents. No, they're parents. They can also take care of her, like the Barnetts, quote unquote. You know, there was no difference there. They're still parents. They still want a kid. And why did they get the upper hand, and why were they the ones chosen?
Well,
Right.
my thought process is they never really gave us a clear answer as to why, you know, they didn't choose any of these other families. But the first thought that comes to my mind is that Christine Barnett, right? That's her name.
Yes.
She was kind of famous and well known at the time. You know, she started a school, a special needs school in her home. She was in the news. People knew about her. She had a business. They had a lot of money.
But I also
there must have been.
go back and
They must have been some
I think there was
bribing.
definitely
Something
money.
definitely involved behind the scenes, illegal activity that gave them
because
the upper
I think
hand.
about what Tracey said, you know, and how is this process so easy? Did anybody interview this family for a whole month, you know, see the dynamic at home? Like, how is it that they were the ones chosen when the household was already basically broken? Already, because the things that we see as the show progresses, it was never, you know, a super amazing dynamic. And I'm not saying that all families are perfect, but that family was far
Right.
from
But
it.
there's no way to
Far.
determine that during adoption. You know, like that's difficult to identify when you're looking for an adoptive family, I guess, you know.
But it's just so interesting because there was one family that Natalia was living with already. They were doing like a trial run.
Right.
And she was
Right.
bonding with their daughter. Like, she was with them for a while.
Yeah,
and
they were
then
like
they
best
said
friends.
it was something with the attorneys, that they had complained about the Chicones. They didn't like something. And then the Chicones took them off the table. Like, oh, well, they're shit-talking us, so we don't want them to have Natalia. So people were being very petty. And then another couple also was very interested in adopting Natalia. And they met Natalia and Diane Ciccone, and they just said, the husband had said, I got a really bad feeling. And he was like, I don't know if it was
Right.
the situation, if it was Natalia, if it was Diane.
Natalia, yeah.
But she had felt like Diane was coaching Natalia on what to say. He didn't feel good about the situation. So I just feel like
This girl has been coached since she was a little
and the
baby.
Cicones didn't seem like very good people either.
100%.
Damn, I want to know
But
who that family
If you're
is.
giving, and if you're giving up a baby away, somebody like a kid that you adopted, you gotta check yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are supposed to be the parent. You're the adult. You don't just give up
Right.
Right.
because of one thing that happened, unless there are more things that we don't know about. You know.
Right.
Which I'm sure. But,
Now,
also,
yeah.
real quick, I was going to say that it would have made sense for Natalia with her disability. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. I'm sorry. Some form of dysplasia with whatever, dwarfism, and her bones don't grow a certain way. It would make sense to have a family where one parent or both parents has a form of dwarfism, because they are, I think, mentally prepared and hopefully financially prepared to handle her disability, not just accessibility within the house and how to get around, but also knowing that she is going to have surgeries and certain medications to deal with it. Like, they already are prepared because they've been through it. Like, there's no way that you're going to get out of that.
Right.
So the fact that the Barnetts, who have, as far as we've heard, no education or understanding of dwarfism, that also is such a question
they don't know
mark.
anything.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Now she gets adopted by them. I don't know. On season 1, they don't really show us what happens when this adoption process is going on. She's in a room, and according to different points of view,
Well, according to
Natalia
Michael
says
Barnett,
that they actually, Natalia says they met the family, and then Michael says that they never met the prior adoptive family.
Correct.
So
He also says,
I believe, in my humble opinion, that they did meet. I think this is that's probably like a legal thing too. They have to meet. They have to. You would want to know why you're giving away this kid.
right, and Michael says that it was a closed adoption, which that would mean that, okay, you don't meet the family. So that does happen, but it's not a closed adoption, because in the second season we learned that they had been sharing emails through
Back and
forth between the family, and then there's also 2 adoption agencies involved. One's that the Barnetts were involved with, and the other adoption agency that I guess the Cicones had gone with. So it's like everybody's talking for 6
on it.
months. So there's no way that can be considered a closed adoption.
there's the receipt, so everything that Michael says has no validity.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't believe.
I have so
fucking
much to
word.
say about that guy.
I mean,
I have
let's
so
just
much
get
to
right
say
into
about
fucking
him.
Michael Barnett. Go for it. I fucking hate him. I can't stand him. I said it.
And he's a piece of
He's
shit
a
to
piece
me.
of shit.
It's first of all, like, if you if you're a person that needs to do so much to say nothing, literally, you have to bring your arms up and down, have your eyes closed 70% of the sentence that you're saying to get across no point, because all these sentences that he would say there was no point. I don't believe a word that's coming out of your mouth. This is, I don't know anything about, body language. I'm not an expert on it. But if that doesn't say that he doesn't even believe what he's saying himself, I don't know what does.
See, I think that he's just lied so much and he's in so deep with his lies that he does believe them at this point, or there's no way he's gonna refute any of this. Because he could turn around and be the bigger person and say, okay, you know what, like, it wasn't a closed adoption. We had been communicating with the agencies and the Chicones for several months. But it's not like he is refuting anything. Like, he keeps feeding into all these lies. And I don't know if he thinks that he'll get in trouble or be held liable with his comments if there is a civil court case.
Yeah.
So his lawyer has probably advised him to just continue with everything.
Probably.
Not just with his lies regarding the whole adoption process, but
Everything. Yeah.
that
Oh no,
comes
I
out of that
mean,
man's mouth. I don't believe a single fucking word.
right.
I don't believe.
And now at this point,
What's up with the theatrics?
right? What is up with the theatrics? Like,
why is everything so
big? Why is he so flamboyant? I'm like,
and we went to school for musical theater.
right? I was
and
like,
he's
dude,
like,
you belong on stage.
Exactly.
Wow.
Like, it was a
We are
full-on
people
theater
that use
performance.
our arms.
Right.
Yeah, everything, every word, and half of the words, or like 75% of each word he says, his eyes are closed, which makes me think, why are you closing your eyes? What are you shielding yourself from? What is this, what are you covering yourself from? Like, what are you avoiding here? And the fact that we have to listen to this dude for 2 seasons.
It's dreadful.
It is so, and like, that's why I think he's a piece of shit. And the fact that they show, him contradicting himself constantly. He's saying one thing one year, he's saying another thing another year. It's like, when you're contradicting yourself so many times, how are we supposed to believe anything that comes out of your mouth?
I don't believe anything.
Also, I think what bothers me too is that after knowing everything we know, Michael has painted himself as this victim. And at the end of the day, he was an adult. He is an adult.
Exactly.
At any point in time, he had control to say, this isn't right. This needs to stop. And he never did that.
At one point, I thought Natalia's present adopted dad, I thought he was going to say he needs to stop being a PAB and man up. But he obviously didn't say that. He said something else.
He's a man of God, so he just said he would stop being a whiny baby.
Yeah, something like that.
He's a whiny baby.
But I am not religious, and I agree with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, exactly that. He needs to man up, own up to your actions.
Right. It was your job to protect that child.
That's your child. You neglected everything, and not just that, you also chose to ignore everything that was happening. That was a choice. that you did every single day. And don't tell me that you're gonna, oh, I was scared of like my kids being taken away. No, that's a whole process. You need to go through a divorce, you need to go through a lawyer. You can say everything that was going on at home, and you can end up being with your kids, having full custody. So I do think he's a PAB.
A pussy ass bitch.
Thank you, because actually
case
I
anybody-
didn't know what that meant. So thanks for breaking that down for me, because I was like,
A
what?
PAB. At first I didn't get it. I was
PAB,
like, what is she
baby.
saying? What is
Okay.
a PAB? Pussy ass bitch.
Come on, guys.
I was
We
like,
use
you
that
mean a
term.
POS? Like a piece of shit?
No.
He's a He's a
PAB.
pab.
Pab, got it.
He's a PAB. All the way.
All right, he's a pab.
All
But
the way.
all right, so yes, he is victimizing himself when he was the adult, she was the child, she didn't know any better. Now let's go into what happens next. We discover that they now want to give her back, or no.
Wait, I wanted to like talk a little bit about her experience with the Barnetts. There were a few things that were really, really shocking to me, that this is why I think Michael is a PAB, because how do you come home and you have your adopted kid facing a wall with poop all over her for 12 hours?
That
Just
is
facing a wall, standing, like, how inhumane. How do you let this happen?
unsanitary.
How are you like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna ignore, I'm choosing to look away? What's like, you need to have mental issues.
Right, that is obvious
To be
abuse,
a person
obvious
that
neglect.
It's
Yeah.
abuse, neglect,
He
unsanitary.
was like, oh, I was
unhealthy.
scared of her. I'm like, wouldn't you be scared more of the police if they discover
Right,
this?
it's a biohazard.
No words.
And on top of that, she's a disabled child. Who should
Right.
She's a
probably not been
disabled child.
standing for that long.
Not at all. Not at all.
He saw her get beat up by Christine. Like, how do you live with yourself?
Also,
Seeing that and be like, that's fine.
you're letting your sons hit her with a belt. Which, listen, those kids are also victims in my mind. Like, absolutely.
100%.
So
I don't blame
I
the
feel
kids at
terrible
all.
for them.
They're
And they were coerced into being part of it as well. But they are victims. I don't blame them, and I feel so sorry
Be
for them.
specific, peeing in her bed in her bedroom.
peeing in her
Right.
bed. Jacob throwing her through the stairs. Because they didn't really talk about that. He thought the mic was off, and he said it to his dad, and he's like, "No, you're fine. You were a child. It's
Right.
okay." But then you also like, you have to be such a bad parent and such an awful human being that this is happening not to your child. This is happening to, let's say, which is what happened. Your adopted kid. And you're letting your kids see this and learn from this, and learn that your parents are actually okay with this kind of behavior and treatment at home, and that's the kind of love we're gonna learn in this household.
Yeah.
You have to be there must be something in your brain that's not okay for you to say, hey, it's fine, I'm gonna ignore this. Who fucking cares about this child that's not mine? But who fucking cares about my own children that are watching this? That's what like blows my mind. You're not only hurting the kid that's not yours, but you're also hurting your own kids. You're creating unnecessary trauma, because those actions, all of them, unnecessary. Not that they would ever be necessary, but
Right, because now look at poor Jacob, who was interviewed in the documentary, saying that he has a lot of trauma, that he's still confused and upset by all these things that he witnessed, that he was made to do. He has to live with that. And on top of it, he has autism. So can you imagine
My heart breaks for
having
kid.
that condition, and already you don't necessarily pick up on social cues and like knowing certain things, and having all of this happen around you and to you, and yeah, my heart breaks for him. Terrible. How can you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, he also, like, you think about when you're a child, and basically with your parents, all you know is that you have to follow the rules. You have to, do what you're told. And it's not like the kids nowadays that they'll be like, no. Because kids nowadays are constantly exposed to basically, quote unquote, what's wrong and right, and when to stand up. When these kids had no idea of what is this okay? Is this normal? Are we supposed to be okay with this? And he already knew that that wasn't right, because he said he felt fucking awful.
Yeah.
My honestly, my heart is broken for that
Well,
child.
what do you think
That's horrible.
she was going through this abuse? You know, like, what do you think is the reason?
So I think
this abuse started?
Christine, and this is the only thing I believe from Michael, is because, I believe it because Natalia said the same thing. She likes the spotlight. She likes to be the shining star. She likes to make money. I think adopting Natalia for her was a project that didn't go through.
Yep.
She wanted to adopt this child. She wanted this child to be, extra smart. And she was just a normal kid. And this didn't go her way. So because it didn't go her way, she chose to hurt her and take all her anger out on this poor kid.
Right. And I think it wouldn't have mattered who the child was. And I say that because they do mention, Michael says that before the adoption with Natalia even came into play, that they were looking into adopting a child from Haiti. Right? So again, that they're like such wonderful giving people, oh, look, we're going to adopt a child from a third world country, and we're going to take care. So either way, I think that they wanted to look like they were such martyrs and wonderful people. Like you said, because Christine had her business, which was working with children who had special needs, I think particularly autism.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she wanted to make herself look good.
Yeah, and I'm going to do a quick segue from there. She wanted so much to look good that they chose not to give her up, and they chose to, rather than do that, they chose to re-age her.
Right.
Rather than giving her up, because that's going to make us look like shit, let's make her be older.
Yeah, and just to clarify as to why one thing led to the other, from what I understood, is because they turned out that, oh shit, the project's not going to work out for us because she's costing us too fucking much money. All of these surgeries.
100%.
That they didn't realize that they
and
had
Joe,
to pay
they
for.
only did one surgery. That's all they did.
On her ankle or something?
Many
Ankle.
more. Yeah.
And then,
apparently she needed way more surgeries.
Yes.
And they
Right.
only did one, and they were like,
one
that's
and
it.
done.
Check
They were
out.
like, we're not doing this again. And then those boots that cost $30,000, which, first of all, who the fuck is selling boots like that for $30,000? I want to fucking know. And then I think that is such a fucked up thing. This is why healthcare is a piece of shit. I don't know if it's an American thing,
Yeah.
but these are people who really need these types of shoes. And you're charging 30 grand for a fucking boot? Are you fucking kidding me? 30 grand. But anyway,
Yeah.
I digress. I don't want to spend too much time.
That's a whole other
Right, that's
discussion.
a whole other
That's a whole other
discussion and
podcast.
But
Yeah.
you know, they realize, holy shit, this adopted child is turning out to be too expensive. So what can we do to not make us look like shit?
Well, they tried to get her committed first.
They try to
to a
get her
mental
committed, right? If we're her in
institution.
this what's the proper term? Is it mental institution?
It's a mental hospital.
Mental
Yeah.
hospital. You know, they commit her. They actually take her in And here's where we get two different stories.
Yeah.
This is where my mind starts to kind of like go crazy, because now I don't know who to believe. There are some staff people who say, well, she's been very sexual and very inappropriate, and
No, the staff never said
Oh.
that. They said the staff said that. When they called the hospital, the staff said, we never said that. We said, she got no problem. You need to come pick her
no,
up.
we did.
They did interview some
they
staff
did
members in that
interview some
first
staff
season,
members in
and they
that
did
first
say that
season.
she was being overtly sexual, especially with the male staff.
Yeah.
But my thing is that when they would show the documents and it said something about like trying to kiss someone on the lips, or they were talking about having a boyfriend. I'm sorry, but that to me is not overtly sexual. That's being a child. I was boy crazy when I was
That's a
little. I was kissing boys when I was
7-year-old,
5. Sorry. Like so
Tracy.
so
Tracy
saying
was a little hoe.
I was a hoe even at 5. But that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, that's not being overly sexual. She wasn't talking about anything with private parts or, doing like oral or anything like that. It's like, oh, you want to be
But
my
wait,
boyfriend? Oh,
when
let's
did
kiss.
these-
So,
But there was something like that too, that they said something in the paper. Well, there were many things that it was like, actually, they said something that was not true.
so they did do a psych evaluation, the doctors did, and they agreed there's nothing wrong with her. She doesn't belong there.
Okay.
So
Pick up your
they called them and they said we can't keep her. There's nothing wrong with her, so you have to come
But
get her.
you know why? Now I just remember. You know why I think of that is because when they took her in from the beginning, they told the parents, "This is not a place for basically a child because we have a lot of males that want to do things, and she's a girl and she's little."
Right. Well, yeah.
So from the beginning, there was this is before they said that before they said that she was doing like sexual things and yada yada, there was already it was already coming from the hospital that they had to be extra careful because of their own patients that they had in there.
Yeah.
So that's so. I am so on this child's side and at this time of her, because you think about it, you're putting 6-7-year-old child with a disability in a mental hospital that's mostly adults, and there's a lot of male adults, and this kid has been through abuse in her own country, then abuse at the Burnett's. She doesn't know any better than that. So when they say shit like, oh, she was like I'm like, she's a child. You are all the adults. She's a kid. You don't push her away. You teach her the things that are not right and the things that are okay and the things that she can ask about.
Right, because also, I mean, I have a huge feeling that she was probably sexually abused
Oh yeah.
in Ukraine.
100%.
Yeah, so
That's why she's
So-
probably overly. Well, not. That's what they said, that she's been.
well, that's
overly
what they said, but I feel like that type of behavior happens probably more in kids who are sexually abused, because
Exactly.
that
It's all they
line becomes
know.
blurred, exactly, of like right and wrong, and that they're too young for that to happen to them. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
But not understanding that. So I still am confused about them saying that she was overly sexual and like
I don't believe
propositioning.
any of that.
I don't necessarily believe
You know what? If you
that it
wanna-
went that far.
Think of it this way, it might not be overly sexual if it was an adult, but if you see a 5-year-old or 7-year-old, which is what she was at the time, acting these ways, you're going to think, oh, that child is overly sexual. But if it was probably adult, you'd think, oh, she's just being flirty. I don't know if you understand what
I
I'm
don't know,
trying
but
to
even the things that they were
I would think
saying.
the opposite, because also it's, let's say, like a 5-6-year-old takes, like a girl takes her shirt off because they don't know any better. if you're saying if you the adult are saying she's being really sexual, you as an adult are sexualizing a child.
That's true.
The child doesn't know what they're fucking doing. They're a kid. They don't understand that, not when they're a kid, in adulthood, taking your shirt off might be sexualizing, and to put it in their own words. But when it really drives me nuts when parents say something like that about a kid. I'm like, the adult here is you are the one sexualizing there. The kids don't know. They don't know sex. They don't know any of that. You are the one doing that, not them.
Right.
The adult is doing that.
And I feel like she was probably
I don't know if I got my point across.
Yes, no, that was beautiful. And I feel like she was probably so starved for love and attention. So maybe they saw it as being sexual, but she just wanted a hug or a kiss, but not in a sexual manner.
What I'm,
you know?
Exactly.
So when they're saying it, propositioning, what do you mean? They weren't explicit in saying, like, she was telling the male nurses, like, oh, I'll suck your dick. They weren't saying that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Thank you.
I don't know.
So the mental hospital call her parents back to say, hey, she does not belong here. Come pick her up. So they pick her up. What do? They're like, well, you know what? We don't want to continue raising her. We don't want to pay for all of these surgeries. So let's re-age her and go through that process. And they
went with 22 because in the state of Indiana, you can emancipate at the age of 21. So, because that seems like such a huge jump.
Yeah, she was like 7, 8, or 9. So she went from 8
so she was like 8 years old to 22.
And then they get her.
I can't get over that.
Apartment.
And the fact that the court said, yeah, that sounds right.
Right.
When what the documentation was to do that was a family friend who was their,
The doctor.
general practitioner since 2002. So he had known the family for years. And he said,
And I don't
okay,
think
sure,
he really I don't think even like he really, specifically said like, oh, she is 22. I think they basically, took what he said and like kept shifting it and shifting it and shifting it until it basically became like, she's an adult. This is the wrong age, and the fact that, many other doctors had said this is a kid because they saw her teeth, her baby teeth, her adult teeth had not come out. And you guys see the picture, and she was a baby.
She looks like a child. Like you said, her baby teeth were still in. She went to a doctor who said that her growth plates in her spine had not closed. So that means that she's still going to grow. So she is a child. She went to an endocrinologist who said that she was 7, 8 years old. So there is evidence saying at the time that she was a kid. But they don't show the court any of that. They show the one from their family doctor saying that, oh, no, she's an adult. How is that enough evidence to do an age change in the eyes of the court of the law? That is what blows my mind, is that the judge who said, okay, sure, this seems like enough evidence. Let's change her birth year from 2003 to 1989. And then the fact that you have the biological mother who has her birth certificate saying that she was born in 1980. So she's 9 years old when she has a child. I'm sorry. I don't think that happens.
Yeah.
It was just too easy 100%. For it to re-age her.
Yeah, it happens so
there's
fast.
A problem with our judicial system.
Yeah.
We all know that anyway, but
we all know
what
that
the hell?
I mean, I don't think now it would be that easy.
This was only like, 10 years ago?
This wasn't only 10 years ago.
Guys, a little bit more. This was like 2005, 2000.
No.
When was she born?
No.
2003. Oh, no, 2010.
Yeah, this was only
12,
so
14 years ago.
That still is not that long, though.
Yeah, but it's also a town.
still, what's
Indiana, get your shit together.
Yeah, get your shit together, Indiana.
I know, right?
Like, come on, man. But okay, so I want to talk about, after they age her, they fucking put her in this apartment for her to live by her damn self. Now, I want to talk about my thought process while I'm watching this, because at this time, I know we kind of already spoiled it, but for those who are listening and don't know what happens, that she was actually really a child. But,
was 8
when
years
I
old,
first
yeah.
saw this, I'll be honest, I don't know about you, but I thought, oh no, I guess she is really older. I was believing that she was older. I didn't believe everything Michael said, but I actually thought, oh, she's older because now these nurses and hospital staff are saying that she's acting like an older, mature woman because she's being overly sexual, right? This is before I had any additional information. So I thought, okay, she's been living on her own. She's fine. She's having issues with her neighbors. We'll jump into in just a moment. But now looking back at it, I'm thinking, holy shit, this was an 8-year-old child living on their fucking own. And I'm like, could you imagine living on your own at that age or any other child?
No.
Like, that is fucking insane. Like, when Michael
So
shows
I
up,
was, yes, that's exactly what I was gonna bring up when Michael shows up and he's the one filming her.
he's filming her. It's like they're gathering all of this evidence.
You're seeing her face, and the whole time, she looks like a baby that's afraid.
Yeah.
And she's just looking at him like, just giving him the answers that he wants to hear the whole time. And then I think at some point he comes in, or he went 3 times probably. He recorded her every time, or she went in, Christine. And at one point she's just laying on the couch. Sorry, my heart breaks.
The donuts?
You can see that the donuts, but you can see that she's on the couch because she's tired.
She's tired.
She's a kid. She needs to be taken care of. She's not supposed to be taking care of herself. Somebody needs to take care of her. And she's been moving the fucking trash can on her own. And she's not only a child, she has a disability too. Like, you must be a sociopath or a psychopath or the most narcissist person to just go through life knowing you're creating this pain into this small human being and being okay with it. Because I see the videos that they made and I was crying watching it because my heart was broken. I was like, this is a kid.
Because even if she is an adult, that video of Michael, he's sitting in his car videotaping her pulling in that trash can. You are not a good enough person to get out of that car and help her? That is messed up. I don't care if she's a child or an adult.
Right.
You help her. She's having trouble. You don't do that. And then what I said with the donuts. And also there was like the first video where he said something about Heather. I think she works at it was like Child Protective Services or whatever. And it's such a bullying tactic to me where he's going, "Did you call Heather?" And she's like, "Yeah." "Oh, well, this is what you said. And is that true?" "Well, we're going to delete her number."
Now you can't call her.
And you're telling me this guy is a victim too? No. Suck a dick.
Your wife wasn't standing there telling you that
was
she's going to take the kids away.
She was not there.
Right.
Exactly.
So
he's not innocent in this. I'm sorry. Maybe Christine was a bitch to him and did use manipulative tactics with him and withholding sex and blah, blah, blah. But he's not innocent either.
Right.
He did not treat Natalia well.
No, he didn't. With the donuts, the way he bullied her with the donuts. Who got to these donuts?
A child.
What? Where did you get these donuts?
Right. Even if
They're
she
not
wasn't
old,
a
they're
child,
new.
it's emotional, mental abuse. He was
Right.
bullying her. What a piece of shit.
Right.
Michael, if you're hearing this, I can't fucking stand you. You're a piece of shit.
I know.
Yeah,
I
you need
hate
help,
him so
sir.
You
much.
need fucking help.
And also, he needs help. He needs to practice stillness with his body. Maybe we will believe him a little bit more. And he needs to open his eyes when he's talking.
Okay.
I think also he needs to. I mean, justice is not served with any of this. Like, they need to serve jail time. Like,
100%.
they
Both of them.
neglected and abused the shit out of that poor girl.
Mm-hmm. Is that your dog, Joe?
Yeah,
Is that Brody?
can you hear my dog?
Yes.
He's chewing on his
That's fine.
bone. All right, so I want to ask you, okay, so obviously when Natalia's living by herself, she has some instances with the neighbors, right? We have this lady, the old lady who lives next door, that says that she's also being overly
Cannot
excessive.
stand that old lady.
Yeah, I'm
overly
sorry. She can suck
sexual.
it.
You know why I get really defensive about it is because this is a kid. You know, back in the day when I was a kid, we would go to, the neighbor's house, and I would knock, and if the door was open, I would walk in,
We didn't know any better.
because I know, no, you don't know any better, and your friend is going to be there. You're like, let's play. And this kid, first she was a 7 to 9 year old child, because we still don't know specifically, quote unquote, her age, but whatever. She's alone all day long. This child is craving nurture. She wants to be taken care of. She wants somebody. You know how much 7 to 9 year olds talk? A lot. They talk a lot. She doesn't go to school. She has no friends. Her neighbors are her friends. She wanted a hug. She wanted to play. And all these things were taken wrongly because in their minds, she was a 22-year-old. Because this is what she was taught to say. Oh, I'm a 22-year-old. And if a 22-year-old is coming to your apartment, your house, like it's their own house, you're going to be like, what's wrong with you? You have issues. But if a child comes to you, a 7 to 9 year old child comes into your apartment, you're never going to say that. Like, if you think about it, in their head, she's an adult, but she wasn't. And if they saw her the way she really was, a kid that wants and needs attention because she needed people taking care of her, they would have never said any of the things that they said. When that old lady says at some point, like, I don't know, she's lying, because I wanted to beat her up, and that's an old lady. I would never beat up an old lady. I wanted to be, are you kidding me? There's tests and like facts and proof, evidence that this is a kid.
Well, and my thing too is like, you have someone just walking into your apartment. I don't care how old you are. I'm going to tell them, hey, I'm sorry, you can't just come in here. You have to either way have a conversation and set those boundaries. So you say, hey, I'm not comfortable with you just walking into my apartment. If you want to hang out and talk, give me a call. Here's my number.
Yeah. Right.
You know, like, let me know if you want to hang out. Like, we can go grab coffee, whatever, but don't come into my house.
Right.
Yeah.
So 100%. You have to set those. You are an adult, so you have to set those boundaries.
Yeah,
but in their head, she's
22, and they still believe that she's 22.
I would do that with a 22-year-old. I would say, hey, listen,
true.
I'm sorry, like, you can't just come in my house.
Yeah.
That's true.
So she lives there, gets a lot of complaints, gets kicked out. Christine has to pick her up and find her another apartment, and this apartment is even...
No, Christine says she's moving. She gets kicked out, and that's when Christine says she's moving to Canada.
Because Jacob got a chance to go to a university there to get his master's, which I'm also wondering how that process went. If she specifically tried to get him to go out of the country to a school, or if they reached out to him and said, we want him to come to our university. Like, he can get full ride, like all that stuff. So I'm curious how that process went.
Trying to do
But
everything
yeah, either
possible
way.
to just kind of leave her behind. They just did not want her to be their problem.
Right. And then also, so they move her, what, like an hour away into a terrible neighborhood, which Michael says, oh, you couldn't have put her anywhere better. There was a grocery store, a GED learning center, a mental health facility, like all within walking distance.
The girl is living on a second floor. And nothing
The cabinets
is set up for her height.
Exactly. Everything is too tall for her. They give her no phone. At one point, her electricity is out for 3 days.
Oh my God. And not, you know what I was also thinking? Because they don't show it as much until I think season 2, the actual staircase, like the stairs.
Steep.
Once you open the door, it's, how was she getting up there?
That's steep.
How?
Even for a regular full-sized adult.
Yes. And you think of the shoes that she had to wear that they're big because they had to help her, support herself on each step. And the whole time I'm thinking, you're the worst human being ever. That you chose to do that to a person, even if you're evil, even if you, well, I don't know, because I'm not like that, but you have to be really, really bad inside. You got to be rotten inside to be like, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah,
Fucking
just
terrible
everything
people.
about it.
And that's where she meets the man's family, right?
Yeah.
She meets the
Right,
man's
so-
family.
I believe that it was through a neighbor.
Okay.
And they were friends of
Yes.
a neighbor, so she met them.
Yeah.
And then Michael says that all of a sudden, because she was going and getting her GED at a learning center, and I guess she didn't show up for a couple of days, and they called them and said, hey, where's Natalia? And then called them back a few days later and say, oh, never mind, we found her, she's with this other family.
And then they try to call that other family, be like, what are you doing? And they're like, you left this child on a second story, and she actually doesn't have electricity. So, yeah.
Which at first I
And
have
then-
to say, sorry to cut you off, Tracey, but at first, when I heard about the man's family, I was like, oh, they're just using her for her food stamps.
Well, and that's what Michael says, too. That's what I was going
Right,
to say.
that's what Michael
Well, they
says.
make you see,
how they make it seem.
you believe that they make it seem like that. They make you believe that for a few seconds. And then you're like, at this point, who cares? Can somebody take care of this kid?
Exactly. That's what I thought, too. Even if they are using her for the $500.
Even if it's for the money, she's a child. She needs an adult with her right now. And there's nobody helping her. Nobody.
Right. And then now knowing that so this was in like 2012 or 13 that she's with them, and then fast forward, she's still with them today. So so it's like now we know they weren't using her. Like they actually really took her in out of the kindness of their hearts, and she's happy. For the first time, she's with a family that cares about
actually
her.
cares for her. Yeah, and I think it was the neighbor that lived under her, the one that had a few kids
And all the dogs and all the cats.
and she kept saying, I wish yes, she had all the pets and
All the
bunch
kids.
of kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she said something like, I wish I would have known, because I would have taken care of her. But she had no idea, because I think one of Christine, probably somebody, or Natalia, because it was what she was taught to say, was like, I'm 22, I got this,
Well, that neighbor even said that she didn't know how to call on a phone for help for anything.
Right.
She
was
didn't know how to use a
What are
phone.
your parents?
That to me
Yes.
is like, that is a child.
It's a baby.
You know,
a
the
baby.
fact that you like don't have a phone number written down or memorized to call for help,
Nothing.
like a parent or anything.
Right.
Because I think she didn't like have food in the apartment, and I was like,
Nothing.
"Is there anyone you can call?" And she was like, I don't know how to use
And
a phone.
if you think about it, when the other neighbors from the older apartment complained to, oh, she would eat our food and stuff, I'm like, she doesn't know how to cook.
Yeah.
She's hungry.
Yeah.
The poor child
She's
is hungry.
hungry.
She's hungry.
She's looking for
She
food.
probably has food there that she's never cooked. This is why she's like eating donuts, and going to the neighbors and looking at their fridge.
Right.
And
Is there
Michael's
something here
saying
that I can actually
that he
eat?
bought food for her, but we don't know what he bought and how much he bought.
Right.
Maybe it was food for like 2-3 days.
Again, I don't
And then
believe
he
a
doesn't
fucking
come
Three
back
days?
for a week or 2 weeks or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, she's
Exactly.
hungry and she's lonely.
So thank goodness for that family taking her in, because she
Yeah.
starts to live with them. She has a
Right.
home now. She has somewhat of a family. And then we are fast forwarding to the trial with Michael.
Right,
Right.
because he gets
Oh my gosh.
slapped with some felony charges.
Felony charges, and they want to add on the child neglect, but this is
But then they can, because the age cannot be brought
to
up.
the fucking
Which
trial,
is so frustrating.
Frustrating. It's so
Which is the
bullshit.
whole
That was
case.
the whole point of
The
the
whole
case.
case is-
You
Yeah.
know, because
Right.
legally she's an adult and she's 22. They can't bring it in. They can't include that in the trial, which
Which
is the
I'm
whole point
sorry,
of the fucking
because
case.
Doesn't the prosecutor
crazy?
doesn't the
So
prosecutor say at some point that even though she is legally an adult, that she is still a dependent because of her specific disability? So
Yes.
it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if she was a child or she's 22. It's still
Yeah.
the Barnett's responsibility to take care of her, which
Exactly.
either way, that boils down to neglect. So that whole
Yep.
case in itself,
I don't know how basically both of them got away with it. I still, because I think Christine got acquitted, and then Michael,
she didn't even have a trial. The court approved dropping charges because it was there wasn't enough evidence.
Oh God.
Which if you can do that for her, then why did Michael have a trial? Because I'm sorry, I think there's way more evidence against Christine with the abuse. You're pepper spraying her, you're having her stand against a wall, you're beating her with a belt, you're doing all these
you
terrible
have the
things.
husband saying that she did that, and you have a child that I don't know if they can use that, but that's in recording. Him saying all this stuff.
Exactly. So the fact that Michael went to trial and Christine didn't because there's not enough evidence, that in and of itself blows my mind.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions about that. And then they
So-
exonerate him. He's acquitted.
Yes.
Well, the jury had to find him not guilty, and they sat down with the foreperson, which I love that they talked to her, and she said that in their eyes he was guilty. He was guilty of neglect, but that the judge was very specific about what the charges were and what they had to find for him in order to be found guilty, and for them they couldn't do it. So he by basically default got found not guilty, but they still in their hearts and their minds found him guilty. And I love when they read out the verdict and he's leaving the courtroom and he's crying and he calls Jacob and is telling him, oh yeah, they walked in there in an hour and a half and it took them no time because they knew in their hearts that I'm not guilty. Actually, dude, they know that you're fucking guilty and you're a terrible person. It's just that that because how it was stipulated with the rules in court, they had to find you not guilty. So slow your roll.
Cry me a river, Michael. Like, I don't know what. I
Knowing
don't know
how
what his
much he
girlfriend
loves
sees in him.
himself,
So disgusting.
how many times do you think he watched himself in season 1?
On repeat.
He seems like the guy that he would probably rewind the interview just to see himself.
Yeah, he's
over
so
and
fucking
over
full
and
of
over
himself. He's
again.
such a douchebag. The way he just pulls up in his fucking car.
In his
Well,
sports
sports car.
car,
in
crying,
his sports car. I'm like, oh God.
crying,
Give me a fucking
like the
break.
victim.
What a
He slams the doors
douchebag.
like a PAB.
He's a pab.
And
A PAB.
And listen, I'm sorry to say this because there are people who handle with mental health issues differently and everything, but the fact that he was so open about killing himself and committing suicide, I just feel like people that do that are not so candid and open about it. I feel like he's saying that for attention and for people to feel sorry for him and to make him be like, oh, well, poor me, I'm the victim too.
And even if you're open about it and you talk about it, his mannerisms when he's expressing himself about it is so theatrical, and it just it feels like he's putting a show.
Yes, and to garner sympathy for himself. Whereas I feel like if you are candid and open about it, it's because you want to help others with your experience and how to handle it.
Yeah.
I wanted to jump into the meeting between Natalia and Michael.
Yes, that's in season 2. Jesus. That one is rough.
What
the
we
first
were all
one. The
waiting
first
for,
one.
You know.
The one where he storms
I
out.
tried.
Well, so what happens is that Michael, with the trial, they were saying that Natalia couldn't reach out to him because so they weren't allowed to talk during the trial, and even I think afterwards for a little bit, something legal. And then when that lifted, and then Michael reached out to Natalia and said, I want to have a conversation and I want to apologize. So that was the whole point of them meeting, which I thought, okay, you know, he's trying to be the bigger person.
But also it's 100%. But also I need to apologize, but I'm only going to apologize to like one thing, because 75% of the things he couldn't talk about because his lawyer wouldn't let him, and the reason why he wouldn't let him is because he would have to admit guilt. He would have to say, I'm responsible for this, I should be in jail, I did this to you. And this is why his lawyer was like, you can't talk about her age. Basically her age is the whole case, but you can talk about her age. You can't talk about leaving her at an apartment. You can't talk about leaving her at another apartment. You can't talk about taking her out of school. You can't, many things.
Yeah.
Right, because it's the culpability.
That lawyer is another piece of shit, but I get, that's his job.
My God, yes.
So I kind of understand the standpoint, but I was just like, oh God, please.
But that's the thing, it's so frustrating because it's like, yeah, Christina's a terrible person, and he's saying, oh, we have the same monster.
I'm like,
she
no,
was
you
so
don't.
terrible to
No,
me.
you
But
don't.
Stop playing the victim and apologize to her. Own up to your mistakes and say, I am so sorry for the way that you were treated and my role in it, that I wasn't there to protect you. I should have, and I did not. And I am so sorry.
Or the pain that we caused you.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he kind of sort of did, but I feel like it wasn't enough. And I feel like he only did it to make himself look like the good guy. It wasn't because he really deep down felt that in his soul. He did it for himself.
100%. And at some point, like, she would ask him questions and there were no answers to it. Because she would say, like, why did you adopt me? Or why are we here?
The
and
deflection.
He would be like,
the theatrics.
There's so many answers.
We'll be here for a week.
The eyes. There's so many answers to that one question, and she was like, "Just give me one answer. Just,
the highlights.
I need one reason.
Yeah,
that's all I need." And he's like, "Well, I like think about it every time. I think of his face, and I just want to punch him.
Oh, Ben.
I want to be like, shut the fuck up or say something meaningful. Don't give me this bullshit of that. The fact that you're meeting basically the victim of your abuse and you're the one that storms off because you said you storm off and then you hop on your fucking sports car and then you go away when you have this child that you abused for years, you neglected her after abusing her, and then she didn't have a family, she didn't have a home, nothing, and she's the one that has to stay there dealing with your fucking bullshit right now. Again.
Yeah. He's like, well, my job's here done, and I'm going to get in my sports car and goodbye. And, it wasn't enough for me, but there was a point that I felt like for Natalia, it was almost enough for her. Like I feel like he almost manipulated her to believe that they came to terms to like an agreement that like, okay, we have some closure here. And I'm like, really, girl? No, he didn't.
I also feel because her new parents are so religious, I think they believe a lot in forgiveness, and she's probably doing for her mental space and her mental health, I'm gonna forgive you because I just can't live with this in my head constantly. But I still think she's way too good for even praying for him. Because I would be like, let me pray for you. May you burn in hell. I would say something like that because, there's something, there's an artist that said, you don't have to forget and you don't have to forgive. You can just move on with your life.
It's true.
I agree.
And you don't have to do any of that if you don't want to, especially in her case. But if she wants to, have that mental, peace and, follow basically, the rules of her religion, which they do believe a lot in forgiveness,
Right.
I get it.
But I think for her, it's not over. And I really do think that that she's going to take them to court for like a civil lawsuit.
I think so too.
Because
I think she should.
Justice needs to be served. Exactly. Everything that she went through, and then she's going to try to re-age herself back to what she is. Because she did a DNA test, and they found that she is actually around 20 years old. So
Now,
her birth,
yeah.
so her birth date was correct.
Yeah.
September 4th, 2003. So she needs to get herself back to her correct age. And I think once that happens, she better take them to
She
court.
fucking better.
She better, 100%. I have a question for you guys. Do you think at some point any of the things that they said about her were true?
Who? What things?
Everyone. Neighbors, parents, everyone. Do you think...
Well, you know what? Since you're bringing up that question, I think that we should incorporate that with what happened at the very, very ending of the episode. Yes.
No, well, yeah, but I first want to know your opinion because, before you get that ending, you already made up your mind of before seeing that ending. You're like, wait, were some stuff true that they said, or you're on Natalia's side full on 150%? Everything
No, I don't
said
believe
is
that
true.
everything that Natalia says is true. I think that what some of the adults have mentioned is true. I think that Natalia has her own memories and perspective of how everything rolled out. Keep in mind, this wasn't 7, 8, 9-year-old child. We experience
a baby.
and
You
process
forget
things differently as children. Especially when we're going through trauma. We remember things differently because as a coping mechanism, right?
100%.
So I think that there have been times when she's had outbursts. For example, that incident where she broke the Tsakonis kid arm. Was it on purpose?
Yeah.
I don't think so. But she had a tantrum because of it. Probably due to her past and her trauma. which is why I wanted to jump into that very ending moment, because that ending confirmed it for me, where I was like, okay, then yes, I believe my own beliefs, where she does probably have a little, anger issues, or little, what's the word I'm looking for? There's definitely somewhat,
Sinister?
not sinister. I think sinister is too much of a heavy or a bad word.
I agree.
I just think that she has a little anger side to her, where she has these outbursts, you know.
Which I don't blame her. I mean, everything
Yeah.
that she went through, she has massive abandonment issues. Like,
Yeah.
her own mother and father didn't want her. Then she's in an orphanage in the Ukraine, and then she gets shipped over to the States, and then she's bounced around to multiple families. The Barnetts mistreat her. So your formative years are just met with people
Abuse
who
and
say,
neglect.
I don't want you, and I'm going to hurt you mentally, physically, emotionally. I don't blame her for having
Yeah.
issues and being angry. What really should have happened is she should have been going to a therapist this entire time and getting it dealt with.
Yep. Yep.
But
100%.
but I don't know if you want to comment about the ending, because I already know what I want to say about that.
Yeah,
so-
we can. 'Cause
My thing is, like, at this point for me, yes, a lot of neighbor, because then you go back to the teachers, and the teachers say,
was
like, she was a
fine.
normal
Right.
child, there was no issue here, she was fine. But you go to the neighbors, which had a different perspective, because all of them thought she was 22.
Right.
I'm just going to put that out there. So for me, the whole time, I've been on her side the whole time. And I still think that there's a lot of trauma in this kid. So much trauma that whatever reactions she has, it is
Right.
justified at this point. And this is why I'm like, whatever she says, I believe her, because even the things that she didn't remember, she was like, I don't remember, but this is all she knew when she was little. Abuse and neglect. And then she now gets this amazing family. And if we want to jump to the end of it,
Yeah,
Joe,
but
you want to
just
say
to add
something
to what
before?
you're saying, let me make myself clear. I'm still on her side, whether you know what I'm saying.
Oh, no, I
I'm
know
still on
you're
her
on her
side no
side.
matter what.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
I
to
know
add to
that,
that,
I know
yes,
that.
she.
Yeah.
It's like her actions should be justified because of her whole entire life up until now. But jumping to that final moment, which holy shit, what a cliffhanger and a shocker!
My mouth
I
literally
know.
my mouth dropped
Me
open.
too.
Just what was it? Was it 2 weeks or 6 weeks after Tracey? You just finished the episode. Do you remember?
No, it was
6
like 6
months?
months.
I did.
6
Yeah,
months
it was like
after
six-
the
yeah, it was like
Mans
6 months
officially
or
adopted
something.
her, which I'm sure we were all overjoyed and happy for them.
So
Finally,
happy,
she has
yes.
her third adoption, hopefully her final one. She has a home, official family.
and she was happy too.
Real tears. We're all crying. And then it ends with a bomb.
Literally.
Where the Mans are calling, make a phone call.
The producers, I
saying
guess?
that Natalia has stabbed them in the back, and they're kicking her out, and she's become a different person. She did a 180 on them, and
they're
are
done.
Done.
They're done with her.
Now, shocker! They're definitely going to come up with a third season.
They have
So
to.
I
Like,
think-
what
I
happened?
I think the third season is going to be the point of view of the Mans
Hopefully, and I hope the
family.
Sacconis speak up, because right now you're not looking too good.
Coño,
You're not
yeah.
looking too good. You're looking just as bad as the
Yeah.
Barnetts. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
need to show their face and make a statement. But I have an assumption as to what I think might have happened with the Mans family. And you guys can tell me what your thought
Please.
is.
I have an assumption
My
too,
thought
but I want to
is
hear
it
Joe's.
goes
please.
back to that first moment where they introduced the Mans family to us. They brought her in. They were taking her grocery shopping, using her food stamps, right? Now, when you're disabled, you I don't want to say naturally, but it's kind of traditional, or I guess the usual usual thing that happens when you're on disability is that you get funds from the government. You get disability checks, food stamps, because you're disabled. You can't work. You don't, so that becomes your main source of income. Now that she has this adoptive family, I think that there might be some money issues involved where they are officially her daughter,
Interesting.
who brought her in and caring for her. And Natalia is getting older. She's building a voice for herself. She's getting publicity. And this is, again, I'm making this up in my head. I could be totally fucking wrong.
Yeah, obviously.
And the man's
obviously.
family's like, hey, you got to give us some of the money. You have to contribute. Give us the money for what we've done for you and how much we've supported you. I'm happy that she has the man's family now and they've adopted her. But I'll tell you this, I don't trust them. I do not trust them at all. I am happy that they took her in and they took care of her, but there is something there. And I want to add even more to this. They are a foster family. They have, 12 fucking kids in that family? And what do foster parents do? They collect money from the government for being foster families. You know what I mean? So there's definitely money involved.
There are many
and
kids.
There's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to say there's anything wrong with that, but we know that there are many cases where foster parents just have a bad reputation, where they just abuse the kids because they're just a paycheck to them. And I just kind of, I don't know. I just don't trust them 100%. I have a bad feeling. And I have a feeling that money issues might be the problem there as to why they're saying, okay, well, you don't want to give us any money or, give us what you should give us, then you're out of here. You're done. I don't know. I just find it to be too sudden when you're so happy, lovey-dovey. She's part of our family now, and then boom. I mean, it was 6 months, and a lot can happen in 6 months, but that was my thought process.
My thought process, this is a religion issue. She went from all this abuse and neglect to this family that is, I don't even know what religion they are. Is it? They're not. I don't know. Whatever.
They're not Catholic.
No, not Catholic. It's something super Christian. It's extreme. The whole thing. Not extreme. I don't know. The dad is what, a pastor? I don't know.
He's a pastor. Something. Yeah.
After you come to your senses and you've been through a trauma like that, chances are you're not going to believe in God. And you're going to have really little faith in goodness in the world. In the moment, she's, being treated really fairly. But any little thing that comes up is going to wake up something in her, because she needs to go on a healing journey. And this healing journey is not going to happen until these two motherfuckers go to jail. Not her parents now, but the Burnett's. That her heart is not going to be calm. And I think the reason why I'm saying this is a religion problem is because so I don't know if you guys know this, but when you're a child and you go through trauma, chances are that your growth, your matureness stops. You stop growing the way anyone else grows mentally. And I think all of this is like coming to her, the growth, everything. And the rebel face that we go through a little bit. Well, not me. I'm Dominican. There was no rebel face for me. I just had to suck it up.
I was an L7 weenie, so I didn't do anything terrible in high school.
But you see, like, anybody that had that instinct of going through a rebel phase, she probably wanted that after all the shit that she went through. She's probably going through it now, when she has actually the space, to do that, and the growth to do that. And being a rebel in a religious household is, it's like the worst thing that could happen. And I think people that are religious, no offense to anybody that's listening, are really dramatic and extreme. Because the way they say, like, she's stabbing us in the back because of a little lie or a lie. I don't know what the heck they say. I don't even remember. But I'm like, you're saying that about a kid that you chose to adopt that has, a disability. And what happened? Like, what's the big deal here that you're saying that? You're saying that you're done with her completely.
So I just want to say real quick that I think that with Natalia, with everything she's been through and the form of abuse is that she's easily manipulated. And unfortunately, I think that this new family that she's with is just so, like you said, Nikki, it's very extreme in its religious views, that I think it's now another form of, I'm sorry, but brainwashing, that she's susceptible to it. And I just think it's so much for her that maybe what you're saying too, that it could be in the religious aspect of maybe she's realizing, like, you guys have brainwashed me, like, this is too much. You
like, let her make her own
me.
Decisions. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so I do think that could be part of it. But Joe, I also agree, money is always an issue a lot of the time too. So it's true with interview, because she was like on Dr. Phil and she's probably done all these other shows, and with this documentary, like with the money and everything, I'm sure that there's probably going to be.
Does anybody know if she has an Instagram?
I haven't checked if she had an Instagram.
I didn't think of
question.
that. I don't know. I'm looking it up.
FBI status. Let's go.
Wait, no.
But
oh, yes.
She does.
Yes, she does. Oh, no,
Natalia
never mind. No. Oh. Never mind.
Grace.
Sorry, there's a Natalia Grace official, and she has 500,000 followers, so I thought it was her.
Oh.
No. Oh, wait. Me looking at all the Natalia Graces that are famous on Instagram. No, I can't find.
We'll have to do some research, but...
So there's definitely going to be a season 3. There has to be, because they just left us there like that.
Yeah, there has to be. And then also I think with whatever happens with the Mans, and then like I said, the re-aging process, because she's got to go through the courts again to get back to by the time it happens, it'll probably be 21, 22 years old. So, yeah, I think they're going to do another season.
So. I'm ready for it. I can't wait. Like, let's go. I know. Season 1 came out in like I think in 2020. Let me see. Season 1 came out in.
It's like last year.
Oh yeah, it did. Okay, so hopefully by next year we get a 3rd season, because I need to know. I need an update. I need to know what the fuck happened.
I want to know yesterday.
So. Real quick, before we, move on to the next topic, you know who I absolutely adored, who needs her own show, and I don't know if she has her own show.
Oh my God! Text. Yes.
Beth. Oh my God!
I kept saying the same thing the whole time. I was like, I love her.
I love this lady. Give her a raise. She showed up to work. She's very entertaining. Yeah. I have to look her up and see what else she does, because she knows her shit.
And she's really neutral. Yes. Like she would say the things like plain and simple, but she would not be taking sides. She was really factual.
Right, because it's all from like a legal standpoint, because that's what she does. So it's just, here are the facts, and I'm just going to lay it out to you in the simplest way, which I love, because I don't know all the legal jargon and everything. So it was super helpful. And I love when she was like, I don't talk about personal things, but, and then she did mention that she had 2 brothers who were disabled. So I do think maybe there's a little bit in the back of her mind that she's going to be a bit biased. Towards having a soft spot for Natalia. But also all of the legal documents and everything that has come to light. How can you not side with her with all the evidence too?
And she has a good memory too.
Oh,
she's
quick,
amazing.
She's
witty.
She
remembers.
I love her.
She's very detail oriented. I loved her.
What a great person to have on this documentary. It was great. I was like, I want more of her.
Every time
I
she
need
came on
her
the
in
screen, I
every
was like,
case.
fuck yeah,
Yes.
come on, take us home. What you got for us?
Yeah.
What do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm like, tell us the facts. Let's go.
Yeah, every time I was like, she's going to sum everything up right now for
Right.
me. I love it.
Damn, that was a good documentary.
Amazing. Yeah.
That was a good one.
It is excellent.
And
It's also like a roller
yeah.
coaster,
you
emotionally.
don't know who to believe,
Because-
what to believe.
Right.
You keep going back and forth.
Like I said, it's a whole he said, she said. But I think also at the end of the day, it just, it really is such a letdown with, I think, the adoption process in the States with our, mental health, medical, the judicial system, like all these things too, play such a major part.
Yep.
And that this country is just so fractured in so many ways. And unfortunately, the people like the Barnetts can get away with something like this and adopt
and re-age
a child and
be free. There's
Yeah.
no jail time.
Yeah, exactly.
Only in America.
Disappointing. Only in America, man. Disappointing.
Damn, that's a good one.
So I hope she gets the justice that she deserves. Because the Barnetts are not innocent.
And Christine
At
needs to
all.
show her fucking
So.
face too, fucking coward.
She's so manipulative.
Yes. Yeah, I'm surprised. You know what? I was also thinking, that last season, why did they leave us with that cliffhanger? But I was also thinking, this documentary showing her side, showing Natalia Grace's side, it's Brody. It's a way of, getting a tiny bit of justice for her, because, her sharing her story and us knowing that Christine and Michael are the worst human beings ever, just, I know it might give her a little peace. Because if I see that guy, I'm going to scream
I'm
at
gonna
him.
punch him.
If I seen
see
Christine, I'm gonna
I don't think I'll ever see
body-
her
That's the
again.
I'll
thing,
body
that
slam her, pepper
sometimes
spray
these
her.
documentaries are dangerous because everyone is watching this shit and talking about it. Like, that woman must be fucking
Exactly.
I'm
ready to
sure
go
they've
for
probably
a
gotten
walk.
death threats.
Oh, for
She
sure.
must be hiding. I don't think I'll ever see her. Michael, he needs the spotlight, so I'll probably
He
see
loves
him
the
around
spotlight.
somewhere.
Michael loves.
And his
He
little
needs his own
white
Broadway show.
Mazda sports car.
I'll scream and be like, "This is the abuser that thinks he's a victim. Let's go punch him."
I try and I try. Oh God.
Oh my God, that was so good, Joe.
It's like
Scary.
having nightmares of Michael Barnett.
I will say though that I kind of he didn't handle it well. He wasn't mature about it, but I love because what it was is that Natalia asked him, "Can you please not cuss?" And Michael said, "I'll try. It's who I am, but I will
I try.
And then she asks him a question, and he said something like, "That's a hell of a story," or "a hell of an answer." And Antoine Mans
the new
butted
dad.
in and was like, "We told you," and just went in on him and was like shaming him and whatever. And it's like all he said was hell.
Yeah, I don't
That's,
think.
to
And
me,
also,
that's
like-
not
I'm
really
not
a
happy
cuss
that
word.
Antoine
Like,
was
calm
there.
down, man.
Like, you know.
Yeah, and also creating more stress
Yeah,
to the
like-
situation. Like, your
Right.
child is already, your kid is already
Yeah.
stressed out.
And this is her moment. And she
Yeah.
asked him, "Can you just like respect me and not say anything?" So if it was an issue with her, then I think she would have said something again. But he had to butt in. So I kind of don't blame him, Michael, for being like, "You know what? That's it. Like, I'm done. If you're going to come at me when I'm trying to explain myself,
Yeah,
like,
I'm
I
not
don't
happy
need this." So I
that
kind of
Antoine
don't
was
blame
there.
him. He didn't handle it well. But I kind of don't
but
blame
then he
him.
got in the sports car, and you say like,
Yeah,
never
let me
mind.
go back to my shitty life in my sports car.
Yeah.
God.
Oh my God, I cannot with him.
The dramatics.
Are there? I was going to ask Tracy, but are there any fun facts with this? Could there be any fun facts with this case?
You know, I'm sure that there's probably a lot of things that we still don't know, but I didn't do too much. I actually did try to watch a few interviews. So I saw some of the 60-minute special that they did when Jacob was younger and him when he was at school. So it was kind of interesting. And then there was an interview with him and Christine like a couple of years later because I just wanted to hear her talk. And
I hate
her voice, how she just seems so annoying.
Fucking nude
So I
pics.
stopped.
Her nude pictures.
The nude pics. We forgot to talk
Yeah.
about that.
There's so much in this
When she was
case.
trying to set the guy up with Natalia.
Wait, we forgot that.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, we forgot about that. She's a psychopath. Like, who
disgusting.
does that? Because she knew that she was a kid. She knew the whole
Christine
time.
Burnett, you're fucking
this is
disgusting.
a child.
Yeah.
You're the
Well,
worst. Yeah.
Also, I'm sorry, like, I feel like we should have learned, like, as adult, like, you really shouldn't be sending nudes or, like, dirty pictures. Because they're gonna
get out.
They're gonna get out there in the world. So all those
And
pictures
the way
of her,
she was also having an affair at the same time. I'm like, girl, how do you have time?
Who wouldn't have an affair? Ooh.
That's true. That's true.
Yikes.
Imagine living
I mean,
with that guy.
his new girlfriend does. I don't know what she sees in him. I wish they would interview her. I want to know her perspective. Like, how'd you meet Michael? What do you think about this whole thing?
Interview her. She seems very supportive of him.
Fucking spoon feeding him. The way he was crying out of that court, and they were like consoling each other and holding each other.
Oh my God, no. Ew,
Gross.
no. You know what other scene gave me like cringe is when Natalia was like praying for him. I was like, no.
Oh yeah, that made me cringe too.
Like,
he was
he
like,
doesn't deserve.
Can I
Yeah,
pray
I'm
for
like,
you?
he doesn't deserve.
I'm like, girl.
And then he gets up, like, not like, yeah, I'm
Bye.
good. Okay,
I'm
bye.
done, right?
vámonos.
Here's my
Let's
mic
go.
going in my sports car. Peace out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know that.
Oh my God. These kind of people, like, it's really hard for me to understand that they actually exist.
They do. The world is full of monsters,
You know,
and they're all humans.
that kind of human being.
I hate fucking
Yeah,
people.
me too. I keep
Except for the
thinking
people who are
about
listening
No,
to
I
this
hate you both
podcast, we
too.
love you.
Oh yeah, you too.
no, but like thinking about like Christine now, I forgot about the porn basically and the way she was also kind of like trying to manipulate Michael through social media.
Withholding sex, manipulating him with
there's a lot to this documentary.
She's got
There
issues.
was a lot to unpack. Yeah, she's had a lot of issues, and I think she was taking Natalia at some point to some fairs, like little people communities and stuff, and basically trying to give away her kid. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, are you interested? Hey, are you interested? You know, I don't know. It's super weird.
Well,
Wow.
But,
okay.
yeah. But yeah, wow, it's right.
Well, can't wait for the next season, and we will be sure to do an episode on that to give us all an update to see what happened with the man's family, and I can't fucking
I'm
wait.
sure. Yeah.
Right? It's going to be their point of view for sure, because they were the ones calling the producers. What?
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. For
Someone
sure.
else
Maybe
wants
the
the
man's
spotlight.
speak. The man's family speaks.
Right. Also, they have like 10 years of thing. And also, because that's the thing, they never really talked about how they met. Like, I want to know the story of like how they were like, you need to come live. Like, they didn't really fully go into it. So I'm sure there's a lot more to unpack. Like, they touched base on a little bit, and it's still like,
Also,
I need more.
remember that little girl? She said that Natalia beat her when she was a baby. They're gonna go into details about that.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a lot of there's a story there.
Yeah.
and we're gonna.
I know. I love that little girl was like, she didn't know what she was doing, but she beat me up when I was a baby. But she didn't know what she was doing, and she did say that she was sorry.
So there's definitely a story there.
I felt bad for that poor kid. Okay. Yeah, so I need
All
more.
All right, well,
we need more information for sure.
Can't wait.
This was a long
one, and if you're still here listening to us, thanks for listening to us.
God bless you.
And talking shit. We appreciate it.
Comment, like, and subscribe. Can we tell them? Can we tell them what we're gonna talk about next week?
Next week we are going to talk about drum roll. Beef.
Beef, yes, because it's
not the meat.
Yeah, right. The Golden Globe Emmy winner.
I'm excited. Please join us. Listen to us if you want to hear us talk shit about beef. We are gonna love it. So you know what? You will too.
If you want to hear us judging,
come judge with us.
Exactly.
All right. Hey, that's a good name. Hey, you might be witnessing history here.
It might be that.
Come judge with us. Come stream with us.
Comment, like, and subscribe.
Listen.
Well.
Yeah. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Peace out, y'all.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Bye.